You have options for your representations on your structural members in AutoCAD Plant 3D. And of course, everybody usually wants to see the best possible representation of the members at all times, but not always, especially when modeling. Besides being able to reduce your memory, being able to choose a simpler representation of the model will relieve memory stress on your machine, allowing you to model with a little more ease. But there are certain functions such as snaps, using snapping that can be achieved easier whenever you change your representation. So let's take a look at where we can go to change these representations. If you look in the Structure tab and go into the Parts panel, you'll see a little drop down, and depending on what the last one that you used was, that's what you'll see. But this is where your representation is. You can choose a line model, which is very simple. You can choose a symbol model, which has a little bit more detail. You have an outline model, which is almost all the way, and then of course you have your shape model, which is going to be the one that's the closest to the realistic. Now what I was talking about is, let's say that you had to draw a line or pick a point. If you were working with this model, it may not be as easy to snap to a point. But if you go ahead and change to, let's say, the line model on here, then it's very easy to get to certain points depending on what you want. And perhaps maybe you may need something like the symbol model, which would make it extremely easy to do something, let's say, adding a line here. Then you'll see that you can very easily snap to an endpoint whenever you have something like that symbol model. But whenever for other representations, you may be able to get away with using the shape model and having a fairly realistic representation of what your model is going to look like. Now, in conjunction with that, you can also change the basic AutoCAD presentation of it. Right now it's on shaded with edges, but you can also reduce that memory demand a little bit by putting it on 2D wireframe. Sometimes 2D wireframe makes it a little bit easier to work with, especially when putting in things like stairs and ladders and such. You have a conceptual model. You have a hidden line model. You have the realistic one. Realistic one is probably very rarely used during modeling, maybe for getting a rendering or something, because it is it does put a lot of strains on your memory. You have shaded, and very closely related to shaded would be shaded with edges. If you go for the black and white, you can do the shades of gray. And then if you want more of a hand-drawn appearance, there's one called Sketchy. And then, of course, there's a regular wireframe. And then one that I actually like to use a lot, which is kind of the best of both worlds and a little easy to work with, is the X-ray, where you can get clear-cut edges and places to snap to, but you still get the realistic view of what the member actually looks like. So go ahead and experiment with these and find which ones work for you in each situation.